Welcome back, aspirants, to another special explainer from Rungta IAS Academy. Today, we're unpacking a massive, really significant policy shift concerning Uttarakhand's hydro projects. As future administrators, grasping this tightrope walk between infrastructure needs and ecological preservation, well, it's absolutely non-negotiable. So let's jump straight in. Right, here's a quick look at our syllabus map for today. We're going to cover the Supreme Court affidavit, map out the river basins, look at the 7 exempted dams, dive into seismic fragility and the various committees, and finally, wrap up with some crucial mains and interview strategies. Section 1. The Supreme Court affidavit, a restrictive stance. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a genuinely rare and critical consensus. We have 3 major union ministries, Environment, Jal Shakti, and Power, all presenting a unified front to the top court. And to really grasp why this matters so much, just look at the Tapovan Hydel project. It was completely battered during the February 2021 Rishiganga flood in Chamoli. This image is a stark reminder of the region's intense fragility, which, as you know, is exactly why disaster management is such a high-yield theme for your exams. Absolutely. And because of that reality, the government has taken a really hard-line stance. In a common affidavit filed on May 19th, they explicitly stated they are not in favor of permitting any new hydroelectric projects in the upper reaches of the Ganga. Now, guys, this is a massive pivot. Just think about it. As recently as November 2024, the Power Ministry was actively pushing for 8 new projects. For them to suddenly agree to halt development, that's a defining moment in environmental policy. Moving on to Section 2, mapping the river basins Alaknanda and Bhagirathi. All right, aspirants, I want you to mentally pull up your physical maps of Uttarakhand right now. Just visualize that upper Ganga network. The geographical boundary the government has drawn here is incredibly precise. The absolute focus is on the upper reaches of the river Ganga, specifically the Alaknanda and Bhagirathi river basins. The center has firmly said no to any new projects here. The only exceptions they're making are for 7 specific projects that are either already commissioned or are practically built. We're talking 74 to 80% complete. Which brings us to Section 3, the 7 exempted dams, high-yield facts. Okay, grab your pens because this is prime factual ammo for prelims and mains. Let's run through these pairings. First, on the Bhagirathi, we have the 1,000-megawatt Terry pump storage project. Then, on the Doli Ganga, the 520-megawatt Tapovan Vishnugad. Moving to the Alaknanda, there's the 444-megawatt Vishnugad Pipal Koti. Further down on the Mandakini River, we've got 2, Singoli Badwatawari at 99 megawatts and Fada Byung at 76 megawatts. And finally, the smaller Mad Maheshwar and Kyle Ganga 2 projects. Add all these 7 cleared projects up and you get a combined capacity of just over 2,150 megawatts. Let's turn to Section 4. Seismic fragility and committees, the environmental reality. So the big question, why greenlight these 7, but scrap the rest? Well, to understand that, we need to trace the history of these environmental evaluations. This timeline spells it out perfectly. The whole catalyst was the horrific 2013 Kedarnath floods, right? Over 5,000 lives lost. Following that, in 2014, Expert Body 1 under Ravi Chopra found that 23 out of 24 evaluated projects had severe ecological impacts, a finding backed by an IIT Kanpur panel. But then, in 2020, Expert Body 2, led by BP Das, took a much more permissive stance, recommending 26 projects. Fast forward to 2024, a Supreme Court committee chaired by TV Somanathan slashed that list down to just 5. And remarkably, the center has now refused to clear even those 5.
Exactly, and this debate right here is classic UPSC territory. On one side of the coin, the government justifies exempting those 7 projects by arguing sunk costs. Basically, immense public and private funds are already tied up in them and they sit outside the Bhagirathi eco-sensitive zone. But on the flip side is the undeniable environmental reality. The center itself actually rejected further projects by pointing to the cumulative danger of having these bumper-to-bumper dams in a highly seismic zone, backed by a relentless string of disasters like the 2013 cloudburst and the Dharali flash flood of August 2025.
Finally, Section 5, mains and interview strategy, applying the knowledge. So how do we translate this explainer into marks? Picture yourself sitting inside Dolpur House for your interview. A panelist leans in and asks, if the Power Ministry previously pushed for hydro projects, why did they recently concur to halt new ones in the Upper Gamba Basin? It's a fantastic, highly probable mock prompt. To nail it, your answer has to elegantly bridge the economic concept of sunk costs with the hard, undeniable facts about ecological carrying capacity and seismic vulnerability that we've just laid out. Spot on. To wrap up your GS1 takeaways, you must always balance that economic argument of sunk costs against the sheer necessity of ecological preservation. In your mains answers, use exactly this phrasing: the cumulative impact of bumper-to-bumper dams. Drop the names of the Chokha, Tare, and Das committees to really show analytical depth. And obviously, map the Alaknanda and Bhagirathi vulnerability with pinpoint precision.
And we'll leave you with this provocative thought to chew on for your essays. As future administrators, how will you justify drawing the line between the irreversible economic costs of development and the irreplaceable ecological wealth of our Himalayas? Keep studying hard, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.